Lately, I've been thinking, man, I don't know what to make my next one-shot about. I can't really think of any story. So today, I am going to be designing manga covers. And then I'm gonna try to make a story about it. Anyways, you should subscribe. What do I want to do? Actually, you know what? Let me go get the reference. Alright, so there's this game called Clock Tower. Specifically Clock Tower Rewind. I haven't played any of the games, but I was looking into it. I saw this art and I was like, that is so good. I love how expressive it is. I love the sort of painterly style. I love it. So the first thing I think of, and this also stems from, I don't even know her name, the main character of Clock Tower. Her design in general, because to me that feels like a little bit older. Back in those days kind of time period. And so I was thinking what if it was 1930s kind of area and more religious horror. This is just a speculation on what I think Clock Tower is about. This girl is trapped in a clock tower and there's some kind of killer dude. What if, instead of a clock tower, it was a church? I was planning to design something and then come up with a story for it, but I can't think of that without coming up with a story in the first place. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna come up with a little bit of story and then draw. So my first idea, personally, I haven't experienced the 1930s Christianity or Catholicism. I don't know what exactly was popular back then. I feel like Catholicism's more known to be the strict one. Rosaries and cross iconography, and then pews, those things. That's just, is that what a pew is? It's the thing you put your knee on, right? What else is confessor box? What a confessional. Candles, stained glass. Ooh, wait, my brain's going. So what if I did something like this? What if she's in a confessional? If we're in a confessional, are you on your knees in a confessional or do you just sit down? I don't know. My idea for the story is she gets trapped in the church at night or whatever, and then it's obviously a sort of Silent Hill-esque, these monsters represent what I believe sin is, it's they're scary but meaningful, and it's psychological horror because Christianity, well, I was gonna say back then, but it's kind of just always has been very oppressive. Okay, let's start the sketch. So what does a confessional look like? We have to have the lattice visible so that we can know that it's a confessional. I want to get this kind of expression, but I think we can't do it straight on. I haven't drawn any poses in a bit, so we will see. I need to talk about something. What have I been doing? I'm glad you asked. I have been watching more shows lately. That's been a real treat. Stuff I've been meaning to watch, but never did. For instance, Apothecary Diaries. Genuinely so good. I don't even know how to explain how much I enjoyed that show. And then another crazy thing, I look up the manga, and then one of the suggestions was what did the Apothecary Diaries author do? And I'm dang it. And then it was just for tax evasion, and it's oh, that's not so bad. Okay, well, if it's gonna be anything, I feel tax evasion's probably the good one. I've been watching movies too, so I watched Blue Velvet for the first time. That was really good. It was so not what I was expecting, and I can't figure out how I want to. Let me just fall real quick. Okay, I think her body needs to be a lot more turned to the side. I need to focus entirely on the pose, and I can't because I want to talk. Right, what's the story about this? Repressed feelings because of religion. If I want to lean more Silent Hill, the whole thing could start in the church, It's wakes up in the confessional or something. I wasn't expecting to struggle with something I would have been able to draw pretty easily a few months ago. But times change. Hey, this is a reminder. Practice drawing. Make sure you practice, because this is not great. 30s fashion. I don't know how to draw dresses and stuff. What else could happen in this story? Because I'm not talking about it much. I'll talk more about the story in the render. Maybe I'm just not educated. I'm just surprised about how many women I'm seeing wearing pants in the 30s. I feel like that wasn't normal for a while, right? Women wearing pants? But I mean, I really thought that wasn't normal for a while. Because what, like, women could only open their own bank account in the 70s. Before that, they always had to have a man do it. If any of these ideas seem cool, just let me know. I could turn any of these things into full stories, and I would be totally down to. I'm just kind of looking for inspiration right now, to be honest. I can't find something I, like, really want to make. What do you do with your hand mid-scream fall, you know? Like you're scared and you just throw it back? Your hand, I mean? Elaborate design in wood. I wonder what story I could come up with. I guess we're gonna have to find out in the speed draw. Alright, so since I'm not really gonna be covering the art while talking here, I'm just gonna be talking about the story I came up with. I'll just mention what like anything that stood out about the art. I struggled with the mouth a lot. This is also my first time trying to paint human skin. So at first it was a little confusing, but then I kind of figured it out. A lot of the process is just like trying stuff and seeing what works. For some reason, this was the only one that I really struggled to come up with a story for. I think it was just because my idea of it is more based on like vibes and imagery rather than concrete story or plot beats, because like I said, it leans very Silent Hill, and Silent Hill uses lots of symbolism and less direct storytelling. So I can't just say, oh yeah, well, the girl wakes up in the confessional and wanders around a scary church. The main idea I had was like repressed guilt or anger this girl had, whether it's like a close relative of hers died and she didn't feel bad. In fact, she hated this relative. This whole one shot would be her guilt manifesting. You could say it's, I don't know, her grandma. Her grandma's grave could be in the church's graveyard. I feel like only nicer churches would have basements, right? Not like, and whatever's in the basement, whether it be like a monster that represents anger, or it would be some kind of monster that represents it. And because it's in the basement, I could do a Silent Hill where it's like really far down, like a lot of stairs. It's to represent like she has it repressed so far down. I think in general, the horror would be something else is in the church, whether it be a pyramid head-like figure, something that represents her wish for punishment for what she believes she's done. But I don't want to steal too much from Silent Hill, so some kind of looming figure that represents something. I also had an idea for a scene where the main character will like fall into the grave of whoever died, and then it'll be like she feels the maggots and stuff eating her. Maybe dirt fills the thing. She starts to suffocate and has to climb out Kill Bill style. I don't know. I want to do like body horror. I mean, it's harder to draw, but that would be cool. I always think back to Texas Chainsaw, where that guy in the wheelchair, it's been so long since I watched the movie, but there was a scene where there was broken glass, and I thought the idea of a guy in a wheelchair gets knocked out of his wheelchair. In order to like survive or whatever, he has to climb across all the broken glass. And I think that's like a good way to represent how body horror works, where it's like, one, it being chosen elevates it, and two, a lot of little things works. So like if I show a bunch of maggots starting to eat her skin, that would work better than one big maggot. Unfortunately, that's all the story I could come up with. If there was anything I would do different about this cover, I think I would give it like an orange glow to it, because the art from Clock Tower that inspired me has less contrast and just more muted colors, where in how I usually work is more vibrant and I enjoy contrast. So to me, it kind of looks more like a camera flash, and so if you add like orange lighting to it, then it might look more like fire. Okay, I had a little snack and a little bit of a tinkle. It did give me this idea. really big sewer system? What if there were people living in sewers and they have to wear like protective gear of some sort? It's like a hazmat suit, but I'm gonna make it look cooler than a hazmat suit. I don't want to do the rich people live above ground, poor people live below ground. The rich people are the reason poor people exists, but they still resent the poor people because that's been done trillions of times. I want to spice it up. It can be good, sure, but like I just don't want to do that. I don't want to add to the pile. I want to do something original. I like the idea of the ears. I don't know what they're for. Maybe you need like hearing or something because it's dark, right? It's super dark. Maybe they don't have like lights and stuff. Wait, oh, I know what I'm stealing from now. I'm thinking of D4C from JoJo's. I am so excited to see animated. What if, okay, you know how I mentioned Blue Velvet earlier? What if I did a reverse Blue Velvet? And you're probably thinking, a reverse Blue Velvet? That's never been done before. Instead of boy from white picket fences realizing that there's a darker truth beneath the surface and that he's complacent in this fictitious world, someone from the darker side learning about the light, that is not as interesting. Maybe I just make an isekai. That time I got transported to another world and I used to be an accountant, but I got hit by a truck. Yeah, what's with me trying to come up with cool ideas? Why don't I just make an isekai? If I was given an isekai, how would I subvert it? I always think about when, I got transported to another world. Did someone else get transported to your world in your place? Or are you just missing in your world? Wait. What if there is a detective? Obviously, as you can tell by this circle, there's a detective. And he investigates all these missing people who keep getting hit by trucks. You know, they get hit by a truck and then their body's just gone. That would be so funny for a one-shot. Maybe can I lean into it more, though? The title would be like, that time I discovered that there was another world because I investigated several missing persons cases. Wait, that would be so funny. Okay, you know what? I may be blatantly stealing Higuruma from JJK because at the time of recording this, the Higuruma episode just came out and I really liked it. So what would a cover for this be? This detective investigating isekai disappearances. What other things in isekai are there? Because it's like, that time I got reincarnated as, or starting life in blank, or it's always in another world. Out of all of my ideas ever, this is certainly one of them. Will this ever get made? Probably not. Because I'm not like super familiar with the isekai genre. I just know it's like super repetitive. That's why I don't really have much interest. I already did a detective comedy story. It's not that good. Instead of a detective, once again bringing up Jujutsu Kaisen, it could be a lawyer. This could be the defender. Wait, hold on. Shut up, stupid detective. No one wants you here. Imagine if I do a court, like lawyer show, Law and Order, Better Call Saul kind of thing, for the guy who drives all the trucks. It was the same guy driving all these trucks. Because it's like, what, Truck-kun? Is Truck-kun the truck or the driver? That's the question. I guess it has to be in Japan, doesn't it? It really has to be set in Japan. That's gonna take some research. I guess it depends on what the case is, like how does the lawyer get him out of this? Because that's like so many manslaughter charges. And as I learned from the Jujutsu Kaisen thing, 99.9% of criminal trials end in a guilty verdict. Maybe a lawyer thing set in Japan isn't that great of an idea, because it's just gonna end. Whatever. It's not like I'm actually making the story. I'm not committing to it. I'm just think it's a fun idea. Can it end with the lawyer getting hit by the truck too? Here's whatever. What was that? How did I do that? What's this? I've never seen this before. What is this? You can do this? Well, I don't know if it's cool. It's not really useful to me. How does the case go? I don't know. Actually, I don't know law. I always think it'd be cool if I did like, oh yeah, I should write a lawyer story. And then I realized, no, I don't know a thing about law. Would it being different license plates help the case? Because like, he's just being accused of being the truck driver. Yes, it's perfect. It's so symbolic. If we have a truck on one end and then the guy on the other. A swirly background. Ellipses background, it's not swirly. This might be a really funny idea for someone like who actually knows how to write this kind of stuff. That time I defended Truckun and got sent to another world. Oh, and it's so good for a thumbnail. Imagine. Oh, it's so good for a thumbnail, isn't it? Because I can have the title, bless me, all of you, bless me, and give me your views and watch time. Yummy, yummy. Okay, seriously, cut that out. Let's just go on to the speed draw. So this idea for a one-shot inspired me a whole lot more. I actually came up with a plot and like stuff and a name, but you're gonna have to wait to see it because it's got that long isekai name. So I did a little bit of research on how Japanese law and court systems work. I couldn't explain it to you because I don't like truly understand it. I might have to research more on it. The idea for the story itself critiques like not just the isekai trope, but the escapist fantasy. So my idea was that this company isekais people around Japan with trucks. So they target overworked people in their 30s or otaku type caricatures, you know, the common protagonists of isekai. And so the main character is like this lawyer in his 30s. He gets this case and he does some investigating. He learns about this secret company isekaiing everyone, but he can't really prove that in the court of law. If he goes to the court and says, there's actually a secret company that hits people with trucks, I don't think he would keep his job after that. You know, I don't know if it really matters if the defendant gets innocent or guilty. I don't know which way it would go, but in the end, the isekai company targets the lawyer too, and he gets sent to another world. And so it's like this super serious court drama with a pretty absurd case, but it keeps its serious tone. Although the thing is, I do feel a little, I don't know if it's my place to make this story. I'm not like super invested into the isekai genre. I don't know much about Japanese law or much other than like surface level stuff about Japan. I don't know if it's my right to critique Japan's overwork culture. I don't know if it's my right to critique their escapist fantasy that sprouts from that overwork culture. It just doesn't feel like it's entirely my place. I feel like a Japanese mangaka should do it. So I don't know if I'm actually gonna make this, but it's a fun idea. As for the art, the first cover took me like 3 days in total. So I did not want to do another 3 days. So I just kind of simplified things a bit, keeping line art, not going full painterly. I don't have too many issues with it, mainly because I want to get this video done. If I were to do it again, I would spend more time on it. Oh, and you probably want to know the title. It's called That Time I Defended a Reckless Truck Driver in Court and Got Reincarnated in Another World. I think that's long enough. I don't know how I could stretch it out more. You know, I kind of questioned, should I come back? I feel like my last idea was it. You know, it was the one. It felt like such a good idea. I can't just end it on 2. It's gotta be 3-part. So let's see. I did a horror. I did a comedy. What's next? I haven't done any kind of action. Why did I say action like that? Action. I say action. Why am I saying action? Anyways, done any kind of action before, so maybe I should try to come up with an action story. I don't know a lot of action off the top of my head. Oh my, it's losing its meaning already. My favorite action movie is probably Kill Bill. I'm not like a big fan of Tarantino, but that's just because of the fact that he's Tarantino. So maybe not action. Maybe I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Man, horror and comedy, those are kind of my main two that I feel like I can confidently work in. Everything else, I don't know. Maybe like cowboy stuff? Okay, what if it's like cowboys, but with some kind of modern concept? What's something now? What's something from present time? I don't want to just do like cowboys fight aliens, because I feel like that's also been done. I feel like cowboys and knights have probably fought everything. I don't know if I know of any stories with like knights and stuff, but they find gray aliens and stuff. Knights and aliens? Or it could be like peasants. Ooh, wait. What if it's like this medieval village, and then you can have like some farmers, they see a UFO. How would they describe that? How would medieval time people describe seeing a UFO? Because like it could be a whole thing that like, obviously they wouldn't believe the sighting if they called it a flying plate. They would probably think it's an animal. Is that where Jordan Peele got the idea for Nope? Nope's one of my favorite movies, by the way. And so is The Thing. Actually, The Thing... Oh, wait. What if... Bring back those cowboys. What if Cowboys The Thing? But how would it go? What could I do to make a twist on The Thing? It's such a good concept, but how can I make it my own? Apart from obviously setting it in old western town. Because like you could have a few sheriffs. I guess there's probably only one sheriff. So like a sheriff, deputy, and another guy. They could find out about this alien and find out that it can transform into other things. I would have to draw horses though. Those are like the things everyone says is hard to draw, and I don't doubt that. What if a horse is the thing? Oh, wait. Well, the thing is, if I make it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know the horse is the thing. But that's such a good idea. What if it's the main guy's horse and that's the thing? And he has to fight that. Because like the main appeal of the story would be these three guys being smart. They don't have access to 80s technology, so they won't be able to like I guess even there, I'm pretty sure it was sci-fi technology. I don't think they had the ability to do some of the stuff they do in that movie, but because they don't have technology, they'll have to figure things out in an even more smart way, but that doesn't rely on stuff other than like gunpowder and rope. It once again begs the question, what's the cover? Because the title could be the name of the town. I mean, who doesn't want to read Schmop Town? Am I right? What's a like good visual for this? You know, it's like the horse is partially off screen because it's not real horse. It's fake horse, and fake horse is bad. Actually, you know, the issue with writing this would be I feel like I could never live up to the idea of Cowboy the Thing. What happens if I look up cowboy covers? Oh, I'm actually getting some inspiration here. There's a lot of art. Okay, maybe horses are hard to draw. This is one ugly horse. Okay, this is the best I'm gonna do. I'm kind of like tapped out. What would it be called? The Thing. That's so funny. That's so funny. Or I could do the Thing poster, but with a cowboy or with a horse. Because this looks more just like paneling for an actual page. The Thing. That's so funny. All right, we're just gonna get on to the speed draw. This one actually has the most like structure to it. I actually came up with like how many pages I want it to be. So it starts out with these three officers, like a sheriff, captain, deputy, whatever. Like they vary in rank. They heard about this like strange metal object crashing in the ground. So they go there, and then their horses won't approach the UFO. That's important. They go inside the UFO. There's like a little hatch on the top or something. and they explore. So they find bodies of aliens broken by the crash, and then a burnt body of an alien. So the whole appeal of the movie, The Thing, is that everyone's pretty smart. They're all scientists and they're all not making active stupid decisions, except for like sometimes paranoia gets the better of them, but it's fair. And so what I want is these cowboy dudes use like deductive reasoning to be like, well, there's 2 chairs, 2 aliens, and this third one is burnt. So something ain't right here, right? Something like that. So they're able to piece together, like, obviously something isn't right, but that this one is an outlier for some reason. And then one of the guys gets attacked by an arm that was detached from the burnt body, and it jumps at him. They quickly get it off of him, but he is clearly hurt. So they escape the UFO pretty fast and cover the hatch with like a rock or something. They do something to make sure it stays closed. They rush this guy to the doctor. Obviously, their understanding of medical science isn't nearly as good as the 1980s as it is in the 1880s or whenever this takes place. While the one guy's at the doctor, the other 2 talk about what happened. So this is where they actually deduce like the chairs, the aliens, the burning, and mimicry. And then the doctor screams. They detain both the doctor and patient 0 here, and so they have to debate whether they should burn them or not. They choose to burn them, and it works. They're still a little paranoid this night because like if this gets out, it's really, really bad. There could be some kind of like fake out where it's like, I see someone, and then the main character's horse stops when being around a specific person or something, right? Just anyone. And then, I don't know, maybe there's gonna be some kind of tell, like how in The Thing, when it gets caught, it'll immediately transform. We could have something like that. Or they just kill the guy and nothing happens, and they now have to regret murdering an innocent person. That could also work. The other guy's horse will stop when approaching the main character. The other guy thinks, oh, it's the main character. But in reality, it's the main character's horse. And the main character realizes that because he knows he's not the thing, or the thing. I always like when a character is decisive and quick. So the main character quickly shoots his horse because he like figures it out pretty fast. And then that springs into the final action scene where it's like a desperate fight to figure out how to burn this horse thing monster. You know, back then they had like kind of crappy guns. They do have gunpowder, so they can use that. Dynamite maybe. They have oil lamps. Water towers were common back then. Maybe they have to... Maybe something happens, like maybe they put out the fire on accident or on purpose. Like if a bakery catches on fire, there's flour and stuff, that'll explode, and the fire is gonna spread to the flour store, and the flour store is right next to the gunpowder store. This is gonna be catastrophic. We have to put the fire out. You know, I don't know, something like that. Anyways, the main character will probably die in the end. This all takes place over a night, because I like when stories do that. Starts in the morning and then ends in sunrise. I mean, this idea actually does seem pretty fun. I might make it. Unfortunately, I like spoiled everything here. So if it comes out, maybe I'll change some stuff. I think it's a really cool idea. Plus the title's funny, so that helps. But the concept of not having modern technology to fight this thing and having to use like deductive reasoning and, you know, old-timey fire and gunpowder, you know, I think that's really cool. In terms of art, this would not be the cover I actually use for the one shot. But I also wanted to make it because it seemed like it'd be fun to make. Plus it's also easy because it's just like a silhouette, a background, and a title. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed everything. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're gonna comment anything, just comment about any of the one-shots. Like if you like the idea of this or that, just tell me. See you next time. Bye.